Let's start with our Vedic peace prayer. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha, Tat Svitra Varenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamya. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Bhunatu, Saviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, today is Astavakra Gita Day, and we are starting a chapter, new chapter. In fact, last two chapters, chapter 19 and 20, they are spoken by King Janak. Okay, so in this chapter 19, we can see that during his intense listening, in that kind of attention, he really accomplished something. Okay? And this is the joy which is coming out of him, which is called a bliss experience. This is the fulfillment of knowledge in direct vision and wisdom, which is the unique goal for all of us. Okay. So in these 8 verses, Janak ji is explaining that utmost peace, which is the state of self, the majestic grandeur of the pure consciousness. So let's look at very first verse of this chapter. Tattva Vigyan Sandansham Adaye Hriday Udrat Nana Vidh Pramarsh Shalye Udhara Krita Maya. Tattva Vigyan Sandansham. Tattva is the truth. So the truth of knowledge. Sandansham means like a needle or a pincers or forceps. Sandansham. Adaye, taking. Hriday Udrat, from the innermost recesses of the heart. So deep in the heart. Nana Vidh Pramarsh Shalye Udhara, the extraction of the thorn of diverse judgments. Nana Vidh Pramarsh, many, many judgments. Krita is done, Maya, by me. So Janakji is saying, using the pincers of knowledge, of truth, from the innermost recesses of my heart, I have extracted the thorn of adverse opinions. Adverse opinions could be the doubts also. What is right? What is wrong? Because we know that Vedas, they say emphatically that though truth is one, sages call it differently. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadante. And sometimes when different sages are saying it, their exact import we may not understand. Even though they are talking about the same thing, the same truth. But because our level of understanding is not there, and we create doubts, confusions in our mind. So in the past, all the masters, even if you look at it today, so many religions, so many denominations, they all are talking about the same truth, the same God. But still people understand it differently according to their own understanding. That's why they say the founders of all the religions, they didn't have any problems with each other, and today they won't have any problems with each other. But the followers of every religion, they have problems because they don't have the clarity. They don't have the understanding of the truth, the way the master was giving it to them. Because the rishis, they always taught to every student or the team of students who approached them, requested for guidance about that truth, that one truth. Shankaracharya ji, the Vivek Chudamani, these days we are studying every Saturday. Over there, he warned the students against this hazard on the path of study. He said, Shabad Jalam Maha Aranyam Chit Brahman Karanam. Ataha Pratan Gyatavyam Tattva Gyan Tattva Atmana. He said, commentaries on the philosophies constitute a thick jungle in which a roaming mind may easily get lost in its own delusion. Therefore, true seekers of Brahm should, through right effort, come to experience the real nature of the self. And this is what Janakji is saying. He's thanking in a way his own Guru that you have taken me to the place where you have removed all the doubts from my mind. I can see the truth clearly as it is. So he is confessing actually that his Guru has cleared his mind of all its doubts. Because this is the job of a Guru. Guru is the one who removes the doubts. So it's almost like he's saying with the forceps of the direct knowledge, because your knowledge is so direct, so clear. That's why it has removed all the thorns of doubts. He used the word thorns over there. From the deepest depths of the intellect. Because that's where the doubts are. See, study can guide us, but the knowledge of the text, just a mere knowledge cannot give us the reality. So the mere study of the text or keep on repeating the verses or the words of the master by themselves can take us near the truth, but ultimately it has to become our truth. And that's what Janak is saying, it has become my truth. That's why in another scripture it says, Na ayam atmaha pravachnen labhyo, na medhya na bahuna shruten. This atma cannot be attained by study of Vedas, nor by intelligence, nor by mere listening. Okay, so those are just the means. So he's saying, yes, you have given me, you have made me realize this truth. Okay, so these are like a very natural sentiments of gratitude from King Janak for his Guru. Then he says, let me give you another verse which is repeated in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and Prashna Upanishad also, which expresses the same kind of a sentiment. Tvam hi na pita yo as makvam avidhyaye paramparam taryat siddhi. You are our father who helps to go across the ocean of our thick ignorance. So who is the father? The Guru is the father. Because Guru is a Guru's job to clear all these thickness of this forest or the doubts in our mind. Okay, So in all the Upanishads, we see the same thing, but over here, King Janak, from his own experience, expressing it verbally. Okay. So now he says, Kva dharma, kva cha va kamaha, kva cha arthaha, kva vivekta, kva dvaitam, kva cha va advaitam, sva mahiman sthit tasya me. Kva means where. So you will see that kva word almost in the rest of the verses over here. So he's just like saying that where is that which I thought it was? It's not there anymore. Kva dharma. Dharma is the meritorious deeds. Kamaha, desire. Cha arthaha. Cha means and, artha means prosperity. Vivekita, discrimination. Vivek. Dvaitam, duality. Advaitam, non-duality. Swa mahimin, in my own grandeur. Sthitasya me, abiding me or my. So loudly he is just, in a way, saying it to himself. Where is dharma? Where is desire? Where is wealth? Where indeed is discrimination? Where is duality and where again is non-duality? For me who abides in my own grandeur. So it's like a unique state of infinite self. King Janak is exclaiming that he cannot recognize. Where he is right now, the glory is so much, the glory of himself. First he says dharma, kam and earth in the first line. Dharma, kam and earth, what are those? Those are the goals of life. Or some people say those are the lesser goals of life. Because ultimate goal is what? Moksha. He says these lesser goals, where are they? So no question about the pangs of Vivek also, conscious. Okay, that's what Vivek is, the conscious. With our intellect, we understand this is right, but that's not right. He says, where is that? All I see is just one now. My own light, my own self, nothing else is there. Because all these dharma, arth, kam, vivek, what are those? Those are the means, the right means for a student when we are disturbed in this polarity. And this King Janak, in that height of that experience, he's speaking. He says, where are those? I don't see them. Because once the seeker transcends his mind, even the concept of non-duality will become meaningless. That's why he says, where is duality? Where is non-duality? It doesn't want to waste time in that. Because self alone in this universal state of the pure existence, nothing else can be there. It's only one. So even the making an attempt of verbalization of the absolute self is very hard. That's why we see that he just keeps on using these terms again and again. Avadhut Gita, which we are going to study after we finish this Astavakra Gita, over there is a declaration from the Guru. Advaitam kechit ichanti dvaitam ichanti cha pare. Samam tattvam na vidanti dvait advait vivarchitam. Some want duality, others want a non-duality. A lot of scholars, they just keep on fighting over this. We see that people even fight over, no, God is formless, God is in the form, or this form. These rishis, with their words so direct, take us above all this where we can see it more clearly. So some want duality, others want non-duality. They do not apprehend the truth. It is neither duality nor non-duality. Clearly, emphatically, these statements have been made by these great rishis. And Chandogya Upanishad calls this state, which is transcending both duality and non-duality, as Brahma. In this question, in that Upanishad, the question came up as to when does the Bhuma abide? There is a word Bhuma used for Brahma in that Upanishad. The answer over there is it abides in its own grandeur, which is non-grandeur. That was the answer. It goes something like this. Yatra na anyat pashyati na anyat shinoti na anyat vijanati bhumast. Yo ve bhuma tad amritam ath tadalpam tat mrityam. So there where nothing is perceived as other, nothing is heard as other, nothing is known as other, that is bhuma, that is infinite. That means there's only one, nothing to compare. Where something is perceived as other, something is heard as other, something is known as other, that is finite, alpam. So this is a difference between finite and infinite. In infinite, there is nothing other. So when we keep on arguing, my way is right, or it's not right, when we judge, he calls this alap buddhi, limited intellect. Then in this verse, it says again, that which is bhuya, infinite, that is immortal, which is finite, that is mortal. We pray for immortality. Infinite is immortal. Where is this bhuma abiding? Then the answer to that, according to this rishi in Chandogya Upanishad, it abides in its own grandeur, which is a non-grandeur. So one of these days we'll study that also, but I just wanted to bring your attention to the other Upanishads also, where they talk about this, that state which cannot be defined. That's why King Janak keeps on going like this. We'll see that in next verse also. Kva bhutam, kva bhavishyatam, va vartmanam api kva va. Kva desha, kva chva nityam, swa mahimin sthitasya me. Again, kva means where, bhutam, past, bhavishyat, future, vartmanam, present. Api means even. Desh means space. Nityam means eternity. Swa mahimin sthitasya me, for me abiding in my own grandeur. Where is the past? Where is the future? Where even is the present? Where is space? Where even is eternity for me who abide in my own grandeur? We all know that time and space are really the concepts of the mind and intellect. We know this much if we pay attention to it. Because when we have transcended the mind, we don't even know where the time goes. We don't even know where we are. And we have all experienced it in our deep sleep, or when we are really, really in love with somebody and we are trying to spend time, don't we say that time flies? And we even forget where we are because we have transcended the time. So time and space are really the concepts of the mind and intellect. Where the mind and intellect not functioning, we cannot measure time. We cannot. And the same way the distance, that's why he talked about the space also. Distances are measured in space between two relative points, between point A and point B. Over here, when everywhere it's only one, there is no reference of A and B. Where it starts, where it ends. Arjun spoke like that too. When he had a vision, cosmic vision of Lord, he said, I don't know. I don't know your beginning. I don't know your end. I don't know the middle. Because it's everywhere. The same thing King Janak is saying over here. Different words, but the same experience. So duration of time is measured as the interval between any two successive experiences. Okay. So every experience is entertained by the mind in terms of its thoughts. So interval between the thoughts is the unit measurement of time. And if there's no other experience, like there's no B experience, then the time ceases at experience A, which is zero time. It just stays there. Okay. So in the seeker who has transcended his mind, there can be no thoughts. So since there's no thoughts, the concepts of both time and space cannot be in him when he is abiding beyond his mind. Okay. So in time, the mind again, what does mind do? It creates an illusion. This is an illusion. The ideas of the past, present, and the future. So in the self, these illusions can have no valid existence. Okay. So a person who has transcended the concepts of both time and space, the very idea of eternity has no meaning. Because the very concept of eternity is a non-stop time. So that's why King Janak is confessing over here that he has arrived at a realm of experience where the world of polarity cannot come to play. Okay, so he's speaking from that kind of a state of mind. Koach atma, koach va anatma, ko shubham, ko ashubham tatha, ko achinta, koach va achinta, swa mahimin sthitasya me. See, last part of each verse is the same because he's saying, I abide in that self-grandeur. Atma is self, anatma is not self. Okay, we are all familiar with these terms now. Soul, everything else is non-soul. Everything. Everything. A lot of people, they have a hard time understanding how can intellect be or the knowledge be non-soul. It is. Only two things over here. And if there's a third thing, if you really want to think, that's a God. But Atma is part of God. So from that sense, it's only two. Okay. So self, not self. Shubham is good. Ashubh is not good, evil. Tatha means also. Chinta is anxiety, worry. Achinta is non-anxiety. And again, the last part is for me, abiding in my own grandeur. So King Janak is saying, where is the self? Where is the non-self? Where similarly are good and evil? Where is anxiety and non-anxiety? For me, who abide in my own grandeur. It's almost like when we are awakened from the dream, the entire subject, object, world of the dream disappears. Where does it really go? When we were dreaming, it was very real. But when we wake up, it has merged into something else. Where does it go actually? It goes into the very essence and substance of our waker's mind. Because it came out of the mind, it just goes back into the mind. It disappears. The same way on awakening from the present state of our existence into the infinite state of a self. King Janak is saying that he in his new state cannot conceive the distinction between the self and the non-self. Yeah, it's not there. Between the good and the evil also, because we judge this is good, this is evil. And between the condition of anxiety and non-anxiety also, chinta and achinta also. All these, self, non-self, shubh, ashubh, chinta, achinta, what are these? These are sustained and interpreted by the human mind. Right? Mind is the one which is saying, I'm anxious. No, I'm not anxious anymore. Mind is the one which is saying it's good, it's not so good. Mind is the one which is saying this is self, this is non-self. So on transcending the mind, a person rediscovers the self. Only the self. Nothing but the self. And these illusions of the mind, they disappear. Okay? So chinta, achinta also. If we are anxious all the time, we are far away from this goal. So that's how we reflect whether these studies are making any difference in our personality or not. Ultimately, sure, we'll experience this. But before we experience, there are certain stages of development also. Okay? When the ego is turned outward, it fattens our mind. And we get preoccupied with its joys and sense gratifications. And that is a state of chinta. That's how we become so anxious about everything. Okay, so on transcending the mind, reaching the self, there can be neither chinta nor achinta. There are some authors, they have translated chinta, achinta as meditation and non-meditation also. But to me, I think it's more like anxiety and not no anxiety. So, but either way you look at it, all you are doing is just moving from this duality and just feeling oneness, only one. Ko swapnaha, ko sushupti, va kvacha jagranam tatha, kva turiyam bhayam va api, swamhyaman sthitasya me. Swapan is a dream, sushupti, deep sleep, and jagranam means wakefulness. So you are familiar with these terms. These are the three states of consciousness. Tatha means also. Turiyam, the fourth stage of consciousness, Turiya, which is also called Samadhi, Turiya. Bhayam, fear. Va means or, api means even. So mahiman sthitasya me. For me, abiding in my own gradual. Where is a dream? Where is a deep sleep? Where is wakefulness? And also, where is the fourth state of consciousness? Where is even fear for me, who abides in my own grandeur? Okay. Mundak Upanishad is the one where these three states of consciousness mentioned very clearly, elaborately. Three fields of consciousness: the waking, dream, and deep sleep. But we see it everywhere else also. But Mundak Upanishad, first time it was written over there. So with reference to these three fields of the waker, of the dreamer, and the deep sleeper, a person transcends the gross, subtle, and the causal. So with these three, you got to remember those three. Okay. So when we are awake, what are we doing? We are constantly merged in this gross items, the grossness. Then we transcend that. Then we transcend the mind also. Then we transcend. We are deep sleep. Okay. So that's why they say, with reference to these three fields, the waker, the dreamer, and the deep sleeper, we transcend the gross, subtle, and causal bodies. But when we reach the fourth, the Turiya, at that time, even the ego disappears. Ego is very subtle. That disappears in the fourth plane of consciousness. Fourth plane, reaching this fourth plane, because we often talk about it. See, we all have experienced the other three. We go through the experiences of those every day. So we don't have many questions about that. But Turiya, the Samadhi, that's where we are moving towards with all this knowledge, with all this sadhana. So reaching this fourth plane, sure, we have transcended the earlier three states of delusion. So the experience of the pure self comes in the fourth one, the Turiya. So you have transcended all of these lower. I think I have a question here. Somebody wants me to, I think Urmil, you want me to repeat that? The dream, the waker, the dream, and the deep sleeper. So in reference to these three, that's what I said. And on transcending the gross, subtle, and the causal bodies, because we have to learn how to let go of those also. See, when we do like this, we are suggesting ourselves, I want to do it. I want to do the sadhana, and then it happens slowly. Okay. So on transcending the gross, subtle, and the causal bodies, the ego disappears into the vision of the fourth plane of consciousness, which is called Turiya. That's what I was saying. Okay. So in terms of the known alone, the unknown can be defined and indicated. That's why these terms are used. So reaching this fourth plane, we transcend the earlier three states of delusion. Okay, then we have experience of the pure self. Okay, that's why it's called the fourth plane, fourth level of consciousness. So this is the transcendental. See, we often talk about the transcendental experience. This is the transcendental experience. That means that you have transcended the other states. You just let that go. You have transcended the body, awareness of the body, transcended the mind, transcended the ego. Everything dropped down. You are in the full awareness, awakeness. So King Janak is saying that all these delusions of consciousness, he says, I have transcended. They are not even there, fully established in the self. That's what he's declaring. Okay? Self as the self. And when you are fully established in the self, where is the fear then? That's why he says, all fears. Because if we just pay attention, where is the fear? Fear is in the ego. It is established or it belongs to the ego. And why? Due to the desires. All our fears are because of that. Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad says, Dvitiyat ve bhayam bhavati. From the perception of the other, fear comes. Perception of the other. You are in the house alone. In your own house, you are safe. But a sound comes from somewhere. Perception of the other. You have not seen the other. Just only a little noise, a different noise, which you do not expect, a fear. So, dvitiyat ve bhayam bhavati. And it's always because of the ego. And the liberated in life, which King Janak is right now, he has awakened to the infinite self, experiences nothing other than the self, within and without. So that's why he's asking a question. He says, where is even fear for me? There's only one. There's nothing else. I'm not afraid. We will see these kind of exclamations in Avadhut Gita also. I'm not advertising for Avadhut Gita over here, but I'm just, all those verses are just, these are so much similar sounding. That's why I'm bringing this to you, to your attention. Okay. So Avadhut Gita says, it's a very firm and daring assertion over here. Sthantrayam yadi chaneti katham turiyam, kaltrayam yadi chaneti katham dishyash, shantam padam hi paramam paramartha tattvam, jnanamritam samrasam gagno upamo aham. When the three are not there, how can there be fourth state of consciousness? When the threefold division of time is not there, how can there be direction? The supreme truth is a state of peace. I am immortal, knowledge ever the same, like the sky. Gagno upamo aham. So simile of a gagan he is giving. It's only one. There are not two skies up there. It's only one sky. And it's so big. We can't even comprehend it. The same way he says, Gagno upamo aham. Yes, Jyoti.
Poonam.
Yes, Poonam.
Hershji, I think you explained after giving the example of the other one, the Avadhut Gita, but I still, because in this one he's saying, where is the fourth even? So that is what I was trying to figure out. Why does he say he has transcended the third, but then again he says, where is the fourth even?
Even the fourth one also.
Because once you are above the three, you are at one place, so there is no maybe division anymore left. whether
Yeah.
it's 4,
He
6,
says even
whatever.
that is not there. There's nothing else.
Nothing.
It's like a extreme. Because we still like to be in a Turiya state. We think once we are in a Turiya state, but when we come down and we say, no, I was in Turiya state, it's even beyond that. There's not even a shadow of anything else. So that's why we will understand it more when we go to the Avadut Gita. But this is what it says. Sathantriyam yadi cha na iti katham turiyam. There's no Turiya either. So we'll see that before and after verses in that scripture also. How is it explained? But this is how I explain that, hey, especially in the last line when he says Gyan Amritam Sam Rasam. Sam Rasam means it's like a homogeneous. There's nothing to compare it with. Okay. So it's like a mind-boggling.
Maybe that is where we talk about the shunya finally, or the emptiness, because there is nothing to explain.
Nothing to compare with.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, these are just, this is something to experience. When we bring it down to the words, then it gets, yeah.
Complicated.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it does get confusing also sometimes because we are trying to understand with the intellect right now. Sure, we are very smart people, but still, this intellect is part of Prakriti.
And when one experiences this, they won't be able to describe it either, correct?
Then we'll be just like King Janak.
No, but
Either we'll become totally silent, we won't say anything,
yeah.
or we'll just blabber it. I don't know what we'll do. But doesn't even matter then, right? So it's really interesting to see how different rishis, after having this experience, what do they do? We can just enjoy it at least, their blabbering. Okay. So anybody else, any question? Let's do one more and then.
Prem has one question.
Who does it?
Prem?
Prem? Okay, Prem. Sure, go ahead.
Good morning, Ji.
Good morning.
The way I'm understanding is that when we become one with it and we lose our identity, then there's no one to feel, no one to know, no one to really describe because you're not there anymore.
Yeah.
You become one with the super soul. Therefore, how can you describe Turiya? How can you describe that state when you lost your identity? So
Yeah.
you're no one to experience, you're no one to, that's how also I'm understanding. Am I on the right path?
Yeah, that is how we understand. But the thing is that aspirants or yogis like King Janak,
yeah,
he experienced it, then he came out of it.
Then he came out of it.
When they come out into this plural world, then they're
able
talking to his guru, telling his guru, he's trying to verbalize what he experienced.
Uh-huh.
That's where he is finding himself like a short of finding those words where he can tell the guru that where was he?
What was that experience like?
Yeah.
Harshji, I was just thinking, for that matter, any experience, let's say I eat an ice cream or something, any experience, when I try to put it in words, I cannot put it. I cannot. So then it goes with any experience. If you have experienced it, you cannot put it in words. Simple.
Because you're lost in the experience.
Yeah, you are lost in the experience, and the words are very limited. Limited cannot explain the unlimited.
Because it's your experience.
Yep.
Plus, it's a finite. No matter how deep the language is, it's still finite. Finite cannot explain.
Limited, yes.
See, I mean, just like Poonam said, our own experience. If somebody says how much you love me, can we really tell how much?
No, no.
We can't.
No, we can't. Yeah.
right? It's a
what
hard.
you really experience, you just experience. You can
Yeah.
try to
Yeah. Yeah, we just come
explain
up with words like I love you. What do
so
people say
much.
these days? From here to the moon and back or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's also finite,
That's also finite.
right?
And that may not be exactly the description of
Yeah,
how much I
exactly.
love
But
you.
we do
Yeah.
these experiences hard, and especially this experience.
Wow.
Even Arjun was very, I mean, he could not. He just kept on going on and on and on.
It just gives goosebumps listening to it
Does
and
give
trying to
good.
understand.
But can you imagine just reading about it, talking about it? It makes us feel so good.
Yeah.
When we really experience it,
Oh my God.
what will happen to us? Right?
Yeah. Thank you.
So today, a couple of things we got to do, but maybe I should stop it here. Pramla's and Mlotra Saab's anniversary today, so we will be blessing them. And then Kamla is going to sing a bhajan also. So let's stop it here then. So we'll start with verse number 6 next week. Okay. So Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate Om Shanti 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 Om.